We're traveling through Georgia for the next month and we've never tried Georgian food before. So we thought we'd bring you along as we discover the food of Georgia.
I am made to be free.
Here in Khinkali, we've discovered a delicious Georgian chicken dish that absolutely blew our minds. So the chicken is first fried and then it's like poached in a garlic cream sauce. And then it's served in like a clay pot and it's like bubbling and boiling away. It is so good. You gotta check this stuff out. So we are back at Restaurant Mimno from where we had it yesterday because we couldn't not bring you along to show you this. They also do a, I think, pretty famous dish with eggplants and like a walnut paste. That's like really good as well. So we'll never stand a chance of pronouncing anything correctly ever in this country. Georgian is so hard, but the eggplant dish is called Badrijani nigvzit. Maybe it just appeared here. It's Georgian's so hard. So this is that eggplant dish. It's stuffed with a walnut paste. The walnut paste is stuffed inside of a roasted sort of strips of eggplant. It seems to be like charcoal cooked. It's like a very garlicky walnut paste. It's soft, but it's smoky and enjoyable. The texture's quite nice. So yeah, it's very good. And you see it on a bunch of different menus. Eggplants with walnut, so walnut paste. Eat it raw. It smells so good. It's like such a strong garlic. It's like, if you're eating this, your partner's got to eat it too. So the smooching later is equal. It smells so good. It has such like a strong, rich chicken garlic broth and this like cream. I can't even. It's so good. Typically, I guess it comes served as a whole. It's like a whole chicken, so it's like good for sharing. It's a good thing for sharing. But here it is. So it starts with a fried chicken that's then later put into the sauce. So it tastes like the fried chicken, and then it's so good. It's like kind of rainy weather out today. It's like perfect for that kind of weather. It's like warm. It's just like a comforting food. It's seasoned so well, but that's obviously just here. Here they do it well. So we recommend if you're in town, you come here specifically for this. It's so good. And they have this Georgian bread. You get a basket of bread with it. And our thing, I'm a big bread guy. You just dip it. Just to soak up all that sauce, because you don't want to waste any of the sauce. It's so good. So is this other stuff, they call it lemonade here, but it's not lemonade. It's just like a soda, but this pear one, it's like really good. It's almost like you're biting into a properly juicy pear. It actually has like a really good pear flavor. It's pretty sweet. You probably wouldn't want to drink a lot of it, but having one alongside is like pretty tasty. We've eaten here a couple times, admittedly, since we've been here. And every time they always drop off a little shot of homemade vodka. Just a nice little touch. It's like pretty good. It's apricot. And that place is a very good introduction for us to Georgian food. Will we find something as good or better in the next town? There's only one way to find out.
We're in Kutaisi in the Grain Bazaar here, and there's a very famous sweet called Churchkhela that you can find kind of all over the place. As you can see, there's many different flavors. It's essentially a string of nuts that is dipped multiple times in a mixture of honey, grape juice, and flour or some kind of starch, I believe. We got 2 flavors here. And we're gonna try them out. It has kind of like a gummy texture. It's almost like fruit leather. At first I was really surprised at how unsweet it is. Like, it's not super sweet right off the bat. So the traditional kind is with hazelnuts, and we thought originally that it was more of a caramel texture, but it's more like a gummy texture. So this is how we find is the easiest way to eat this, is you kind of rip off between the nuts along the string. So at first we weren't quite sure if we liked these, but they definitely grow on you. So if you're in Georgia, they're definitely worth a try. You might like it, you might not. And we found generally they're about 3 lari each.
Hop back into the video from later, a different time in the trip. We got those Georgian Snickers, that traditional Georgian treat. And the one that you just saw was old. These ones are so much better. The fresher they are, the better they are. Maybe you've been doing some urban exploring here in Kutaisi and you've worked yourself up an appetite like us. In Georgian food, there's a few very famous dishes, very famous. Maybe one of the most famous in all of Georgia is a dish called Khinkali. It's a Georgian soup dumpling kind of thing, most comparably maybe like a xiaolong bao from China. What it is it's a dough wrapped meat filling with stock and juice inside, and you eat it almost exactly the same. You bite the side, drink the juice, and then eat the dumpling. There's a place called Hogarden that has fantastic Khinkali, and so we'll take you there now and we'll show you what Khinkali in Georgia is like. So it's actually like pretty neat in here. It's a really comfortable sort of place, and it's AC, which is really nice. Okay, so here we got our Khinkali. This is what they look like. They have a little dough handle, and this dough encapsulating, and then in here is a soup with the meat filling. So the way that you eat it is you hold it by this thing, you take a little bite out of the side, and then out of this whole, ow, it's so hot. Oh yeah, that's a really good Khinkali juice. It's like, not just the meat it's cooked in, it's like an actual, like a stock. The dough is really nice. It's not like too chewy, but it holds up quite well. So it's got like a lot of gluten in the dough, clearly. But here, come take a look inside. It's got just like a mix of ground meat in it. You get them in different styles. Some have meat, some come with cheese and egg and potato. You can kind of get on any kind of filling that you want. But the most traditional kind are the meat kind. They're really tasty, really well seasoned. Hogarden does a wonderful Khinkali. And then apparently back in the day, you would leave these, and that's how they would tell how many that you had. So that was Khinkali at Hogarden. Very good Khinkali. Yeah, very tasty Khinkali. But if we're throwing shade for a second, we got charged for one more Khinkali than we got. But we didn't know until we got out, and it's like 50 cents. So we'll live, but I can't say that I'm pleased about it. We are up in the mountains, high up in the mountains by the little town of Mestia. And if you can see above us, it's a little bit cold up here. So we've been in search of very hearty, warming, sort of like mountain foods. Two dishes that we found that fit the bill. One is a Svaneti specific dish. It's called
Kubdari?
Kubdari. And what it is it's like a meat stuffed bread circle that's like really good. And the other is a beef and sort of like tomato onion stew called Ostri. You can get Ostri all across the country, but it is particularly fitting and welcome up here in the mountains.
We are at Cafe Zina. They have a spot across the street, but then they also have this outcropping right on the river. This is where we're gonna show you Kubdari and Ostri. We got our Ostri. It looks so good. It smells so good. It's essentially like a meat stew in a tomato onion sauce. It smells so good. Yeah, the meat's really tender. The sauce is super rich, so it's like so good for being up in the mountains. In the sauce, there's onions, other herbs and stuff, and it really like coats your mouth with like a nice meaty flavor. It's super, super good. Here's the Kubdari. It's essentially a Svaneti meat pie. So it's really similar to a Khachapuri where it's a stuffed bread, but this is stuffed with minced meat and looks like some onions. It's like a meat Lobiani kind of. The bread on the outside is pretty crispy, which is really nice. And the inside's like really warm and meaty and very comforting food for sure. It's kind of hot, so it's hard to eat with fingers. The inside of the bread is also kind of like soft. It's trapped all the juices in there. So the meat's not dried out at all, which is really nice. So if you get these together, they go very well together. Nice tomatoey sauce with the Kubdari. So that was very delicious. Perfect food for being up in the mountains. It's nice and comforting and warm and hearty. Definitely recommend getting them together because they taste delicious together. So yeah, that was Ostri and Kubdari.
Overlooking Georgia's capital, you join us now for the final stop of our Georgian food tour. Our discovery of Georgian food as we've traveled across this country for the past month, and there's a few items we've actually been holding off on because maybe they're the most popular in all of Georgia. So we've come here to Tbilisi to show you these dishes. The 4 dishes that we're going to show you while we're here at Tbilisi are the famous Georgian Khachapuri, which is, there's all different kinds of Khachapuri, but maybe the most iconic looking visually is the Khachapuri with the cheese and the cream and the egg in the center that you mix up and dip it in. We'll show you that. Famous Georgian Ojakhuri, which is potatoes, onions, and pork. It can be pork, chicken, or beef into sort of like a roasted mix. It's really good. The beans in a pot, Lobio, famous all over Georgia. People say it's maybe Georgia's best dish, but it often gets a bad rap because it's almost always the cheapest item on the menu, so people feel bad getting it. And then finally, Kharcho. They love walnuts here in Georgia. Kharcho, you get chicken Kharcho or beef Kharcho. What it is it's cooked in like a walnut sauce, your meat kind of in walnut sauce. So we'll show you that while we're here in Tbilisi to round out our grand tour of food here in Georgia. The place that we've come here in Tbilisi that we found that does really good food at like a crazy affordable prices is this little doorway here. It's called Mapshala. Maybe the address just appeared. And here's where we're going to show you some of the food that I mentioned earlier. Just this little doorway right here. So we get these like little private little booths, not everywhere, but there's some boys out here doing a little sing-song, so hopefully it's not too loud. It's definitely too loud. Just hope that you can, I hope that you can hear us. No. Yeah, we have the ability to close these doors, so hopefully that'll help. There you go, it's a local joint. I don't know. Okay, so we got beef Kharcho, Lobio, and Ojakhuri, and they have this red wine. Sorry, it's so loud here. We have this red wine, and you can get it in half a liter. We got it before, and it's something else. So we've got our feast now, and we got the doors closed, but he's starting up again. We got the Ojakhuri, which is the pork, onions, potatoes. We got the beef Kharcho, which is beef in that walnut sauce. And then we got the famous Georgian Lobio. So for the first time ever, we have to try to do our audio and video separately in the hopes that you can hear us. I don't know how this is gonna work. But here we have this beef Kharcho, and it's that beef in this like walnut sauce. You can get the walnut sauce on its own, or it comes in different varieties. It's just like a famous Georgian walnut sauce, and then this just happens to have beef with it. It doesn't have too much other seasonings or flavorings in it. It's just the nut sauce, which is like a really savory, kind of creamy. It has a slightly spicy oil that they drizzle on top. And then of course the sauce has garlic in it. The beef is cooked. It's almost like braised in the sauce. So it's very tender. It's absorbed the flavor of the walnuts and everything. And you wouldn't think that beef with sort of a creamy kind of sauce would be like as crazy good as it is, but it's a very delicious dish that normally I would never would have come up with. One of these other dishes we got is this Lobio, these beans, and it's vaguely reminiscent, almost like of a dal in its format. It has onions, parsley, coriander in it. It's cooked with a little bit of cumin, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of chili in there. It's got a little bit of spice to it. Normally it's cooked in a like a clay pot. Here it just comes in a bowl. It's like a really tasty, we really like it with bread. You like dip your bread in it. This guy is so loud. But it's like a really tasty dish, especially for the price that it normally costs on a menu. It's like creamy, almost like a refried bean, almost. It's cooked down to like a sauce almost. But then having a little bit of onion and coriander and fresh sort of herbs in there really bring a little brightness to it, a little bit of life to it. But maybe one of my favorite dishes, aside from Khachapuri, is Ojakhuri. It's potatoes with the onions and then your meat. They have like big chunks of braised pork in here. It looks really good. Everywhere does it like a little bit differently, kind of their own style. These ones seem to use smaller, almost like French fry style potatoes. And these are covered in dill and herbs and with some of this caramelized onion. Everywhere we've gone, Ojakhuri always feels like kind of a really big thing to order. But every time we've ordered it, it's always like one of my favorites. It's like caramelized pork, the big chunks of pork braised in together with the potatoes and the onions. It's consistently one of the best meals that we have in Georgia. The beauty of it is all this pork and potatoes and stuff, they all like cook together. So the potatoes absorb all like the juices and all the flavor and stuff. It's like so good. It's definitely one of my favorites here in Georgia. This wine here at Mapshala is grape juice with vodka in it. It is cheap. It's 7 lari for a liter. They'll give it to you in half a liter, so 350 lari. But it is no fine wine. It's really easy to just like almost chug. It's like juice with vodka in it. But it's kind of nice in that way. It's nothing pretentious about it. It's unashamed of what it is. So Mapshala is good. It was so loud. We think for our last one we're gonna have to find another location to show you because we run the risk of that happening again. I don't know if that footage was usable. I hope that it was because we left it to the last minute and we don't have time to shoot it again. So if we included that in the video and it was bad, I blame that guy. Don't blame us. Come on, just give us our freaking likes and our comments and you just blame that other guy. This video is not about recommending specific places like a following the food ranger video. Instead, this is a general look at Georgian food. Now, I say that to say Mapshala is good, but it finds its real strength in the prices. So we found that the meat quality in the Kharcho, we had a chicken Kharcho yesterday and a beef Kharcho there today, is lacking. There are better places for it, but it's tasty and for the price you can't beat it.
So here is our Nigerian Khachapuri. It's super famous all over Georgia. You see it everywhere. It's this boat-shaped bread, and then on the inside you get cheese and cream, and then a slab of butter and an egg yolk. Okay, first you mix all together, mix that egg yolk in there, and mix in the butter so it's all melted and delicious. And then you literally just like rip off bread from the outside and dunk it in and enjoy. The bread, like all bread in Georgia, is delicious. And when you dip it in, it's like super rich and cheesy. It's almost like a cheese fondue, kind of. It's really, really good. And yeah, you rip from the outside, and then once the cheese doesn't fall out everywhere, then you can start like cutting into it. It's really good though.
It is the morning time here, and like many Georgians, we are headed to a bakery. So all over this country is these tiny little community bakeries pumping out delicious, and just from any little corner bakery. Each bread that you get may just be a lari or two, but it's delicious every time. You just eat it straight. More often than not, it's still warm out of the oven. It's so good and so cheap, and Georgia really knocks it out of the park in their bread game. So here it is. They come in a couple different shapes, and it's crispy, made this morning. It's like a lari. Really good. It's always really good. We were both very pleasantly surprised by what we found here and enjoyed almost everything.
Yeah, everything is so good, and I had no idea what Georgian food was, so it was really fun to discover everything too.
Yeah. So if you're coming to Georgia and you think, is it worth it for the food? We think it is, and hopefully this video is showing you our favorites. We ate more than this, But these ones are ones that we were the most excited maybe to share. If you're coming to Georgia, then you shouldn't just be excited for the country, you should be excited for the food. Cheers, thanks for watching, and in Georgian, Gamar.
Just.